Hey friends, happy Monday. I am here with our new Magic Treehouse book, Magic Treehouse book number 22. So I think last week you read Civil War on Sunday with Miss Katie, right? That was book number 21. Now we're here with book number 22, Revolutionary War on Wednesday. All right. So we'll have to check this one out. Let's see where we start off. Well, let's take a look at the cover here real quick. See the cover of that? Does anybody know who this guy is right here? Any ideas? He wasn't the president at that point, but he was a famous general. George Washington, does that sound familiar to anybody? There he is right there, and there's Jack and Annie, and I think a couple of soldiers here too. So let's see what role George Washington played in the Revolutionary War. Chapter 1 is called Wednesday. "Wake up, Jack," Annie whispered. Jack opened his eyes. He looked at his clock. It was 6 a.m. "Come on," Annie whispered. She was standing at his bedroom door, already dressed. "Now?" said Jack. "Yeah, it's Wednesday. We have to go to the treehouse," she said. "Oh, man, Wednesday," said Jack. Suddenly, he was wide awake. "We have to help save Camelot," said Annie. I know," said Jack, scrambling out of bed. "Meet you out front," said Annie. Jack quickly changed into his jeans and t-shirt. He threw his notebook and pencil into his backpack. Then he slipped down the stairs and out the front door. Annie was waiting in the gray early light. "All set?" she whispered. "Yep," said Jack. So there you can see Annie at Jack's bedroom door, waking him up. Must be that Morgan told them to come back on Wednesday, right? Is that what happened in the last chapter of the last book that you guys read? They took off running across their yard. They ran down their quiet street and into the Frog Creek woods. Soon they came to the treehouse. They climbed up the rope ladder. In the early light, they saw Morgan's note, the same note they'd found on Sunday, right? That makes sense. Jack picked it up and read aloud. "Dear Jack and Annie, Camelot is in trouble. To save the kingdom, please find these 4 special kinds of writing for my library. Something to follow, something to send, something to learn, and something to lend. Thank you, Morgan." Annie picked up a piece of paper lying on the floor. It was the list of rules from the famous nurse Clara Barton. They had met her on their journey to the Civil War. "On Sunday, we found the first special writing," said Annie. "Something to follow." "Yeah," said Jack. "And now we have to find something to send," which is the second thing. He picked up a book lying near the note. The cover showed soldiers on a snowy riverbank. The title was The Revolutionary War. Jack frowned. "Uh-oh," said Annie. "Another war," said Jack, sighing. "You still want to go?" said Annie. "We have to," said Jack. He hated the suffering he had seen in the Civil War. But they had no choice. They had to help Morgan and save Camelot. He pointed at the cover of the book. "I wish we could go there," Jack said. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 2 is called Day or Night. Jack shivered. The wind blew hard. "It's cold," he said. He could see his breath in the air. "Wrap your scarf tighter," said Annie. Jack looked down. He had a wool scarf around his neck. He was also wearing woolen pants that buttoned at the knees, a coat, and a hat with 3 corners. On his feet were funny-looking shoes with buckles. In place of his backpack, Annie was wearing... in the place of the backpack, there was a leather bag. Annie was wearing a long coat over a long dress. Jack pulled his scarf tighter. Then he looked out the window with Annie. They'd landed in trees near an icy river. The sky was gray and heavy with clouds. So this is what their outfit looks like. Looks like children around the Revolutionary War era would wear these types of clothing.
Not clothing now, no.
Right, does not look like clothing now. It's almost day, or almost night. I can't tell, said Annie. Yeah, I hope it's almost day, said Jack. I wonder where we'll find something to send, said Annie. Jack shrugged. First, we have to find the Revolutionary War, he said. He opened the research book. By the gray light, he read, over 200 years ago, the United States was made up of 13 colonies ruled by Britain. From 1775 until 1782, American patriots fought for independence from Britain. This was called the Revolutionary War. Jack took out his notebook. He wrote, American patriots fight for independence from Britain. Jack turned the page. There was a picture of soldiers in red uniforms. He read aloud, during the Revolutionary War, British soldiers wore red uniforms. For this reason, they were called, do you remember what they were called?
Great.
Redcoats.
Redcoats.
Do you remember that?
No.
Kellen is a history buff. Kellen loves everything about history and presidents and all of that stuff. That's probably why he snuck over here to listen to the story. Jack wrote in his notebook, British equals redcoats. Wow, snow, said Annie. Jack looked up from his writing. Annie was holding her hand out the window. A few snowflakes blew into the treehouse. Not much yet, said Jack, but we better find the special writing soon. Well, stop reading and come on, said Annie. She buttoned up her coat and started down the ladder. Okay, said Jack. He packed the research book and his notebook into his bag, and then he followed Annie. When they stepped onto the ground, there were more snow flurries. The sky was growing darker. I'm afraid it's almost night instead of day, said Jack. Yeah, said Annie, looking around. Hey, look, people. She pointed up the river. In the misty distance was a campfire. Several men sat around the fire. They all held muskets. Maybe they can help us, said Annie. She started away, but Jack grabbed her. Do you know what muskets are?
They're guns.
They are a type of gun. Wait, I think they're soldiers, he said. They have muskets. Remember the muskets from the Civil War? The guns that soldiers carried? Oh, yeah, said Annie. They must be redcoats, said Jack. Let's sneak closer and get a better look at their uniforms. Quick, said Annie, before it's too dark to see.
Well, before one of them sees them. Chapter 3.
So chapter 3, which we'll read tomorrow, is called...
It's time.
It's time. Time for what? Any ideas?
Time for the Revolutionary War.
Could be.
Or time to sail across the ocean.
Right, like in this picture? We will find out tomorrow. All right, friends, thank you for joining us.
George Washington.
We are probably going to see George Washington. Yeah, we talked about that in the beginning. I think we will. Thank you very much for joining us for the first couple of chapters, and we will see you again tomorrow. Mwah! Kellen, shall we say goodbye?
Bye.
Come closer. Goodbye.